Hi everyone, I'm Pat Prokop and I'm in the Heavenly Backyard Garden today. Usually you see me doing a lot of activity with the telescope, but today I'm going to do activity with the garden. The daylilies are beginning to bloom. The vegetables are already being picked on some of the plants itself, and other plants are getting ready to begin harvest, while the corn itself is still yet growing. So let's take a little bit of a tour and some tips from the Heavenly Backyard Garden. And if you like my videos, please subscribe. I do a lot of astronomy videos, but I also do some gardening videos like I'm doing today. You know, this is Mother's Day, and we've been seeing a lot of growth in the south over the last several months now. We actually started growing in February with the mild winter that we've been having. But the garden itself is doing very well. The daylilies are beginning to bloom, and the dahlias are just starting to grow. So those will be coming up in the future. Perhaps in June and July, I'll be having a lot of dahlias to show you. But right now, as I go through the garden, I want to show you some of the daylilies, and then we're going to go to the tomato plants and look at how to extend your tomatoes with the discards from the plants itself. So let's take a quick tour of the garden. There's a nice view of the garden itself. This is mostly the daylilies that are in bloom right now across our region, and here in the Savannah area particularly. Also come with this time of the year come the flies as well. There's some flies buzzing around, but we'll just ignore them. Do you ever get Easter lilies for your church service? Well, these are some left over from years in the past. These Easter lilies once were on the altar at the church, and you just plant them in the ground, particularly here in the south. Plant them in the ground. They usually bloom right around Mother's Day once they get established. Meanwhile, additional daylilies. There's my rain gauge. You can see some companion plants to go with them. Zinnias do very well within the daylilies because they basically like the same type of growing conditions. Here's a daylily here called Alba Whitegrow. That's a good one. This one here is a seedling of mine that I kind of like. And in and around the fountain, I have a lot of daylilies that are just beginning to bloom. This one's probably 25 years old now. It's called Sugar Cookie. And other ones beginning to bloom. And you can see the promise of additional blooms coming up with these scapes. The garden here usually peaks at around June 10th, so I got a while to go yet. There you can see additional daylilies. Now these taller ones over here are some of the ones that I've been experimenting with, seedlings of mine, and it's not in bloom today, but I have a picture from a couple of days ago. I'll show it to you right now. There it is. It's just a gorgeous daylily, and I like how strong the stems are. We call scapes, and the color itself, a nice soft pink. Additional companion planting. These are Gloriosa daisies growing in with the daylilies and the zinnias. I want to show you one of the things I do with the daylilies, and that's every morning you have to deadhead them. That's called grooming the garden. And if you look at a daylily the day after it blooms, it looks like a popped balloon. So it's important to deadhead them. Here's an example right here. That was in bloom yesterday, but it's a popped balloon today. What you do is you just pop it off and then throw it in the composter. There's one. Well, two of them right here. This one is, the oranger one is garden style, and then the bigger one with the yellowish color is called bursting loose. Let's move along to the vegetable garden in the tomato patch. Now, with tomatoes, sometimes you get stray shoots called sucker shoots, or sometimes you just might want to trim the bush back a little bit so more of the energy is going into one or two main stalks. And what you can do is just cut these off like so. Now, you might think this is just trash, but you can clean it up. Cut these branches off like so. Let's cut this one off too. And in actuality, that would be a sucker right there. But this is not all waste. You can take this and put it in water and roots will develop along the side. Now, I did this a couple of weeks ago with some of the cuttings and placed them in the water. And look, you see, it already has the roots developing on this plant. This is ready to plant in the ground. And what I'm going to do when I plant them in the ground, I'm going to put them in at about a 30-degree angle or 45-degree angle. So all this right here develops roots in the ground, which will give the plant extra material to draw nutrients out of the soil and produce, hopefully, more tomatoes and yummier tomatoes. But speaking of tomatoes, I'm already getting some tomatoes now developing on these plants. Not so much this bush here, I don't know what's going on with it, but some other bushes over here, I am beginning to see tomatoes. I got some already the size of tennis balls. These are better bush. They're not a staking tomato, they're a bush tomato, and they just need a little bit of support, so I put them in these cages. I put the cages in well before the plants got large. It's very easy to do then. It'd be very difficult now to put the cage on. But anyway, the tomatoes are doing just fine right now, and I'll be harvesting tomatoes, hopefully, it looks like in about 2 more weeks. What about the other vegetables? Well, we got the peppers. These are bell peppers here, green and red bell peppers. They're all green at the moment. But we've been picking already off these plants. There you can see a rather hefty pepper right there. And then over here are sweet banana peppers. And boy, these are so good. They're not hot. I'm not a hot pepper guy. I'm a sweet pepper guy. And these sweet banana peppers are excellent. Looking at the tomatoes, there you can see they're coming along. Look at these peppers. I've already picked several off this plant here. And more. See? More banana peppers here. There's a bad one. Let's pull that off. Now look at that one though. And more tomatoes. Let's see, there's one right in there. There's a whole bunch of them down there. More tomatoes over here. So these are doing just fine. What about the Brussels sprouts? Well, they're growing, but they're not producing any Brussels sprouts yet. I'm working on that. Right here, if you look, right in here, you got these little bitty sprouts beginning to form. And hopefully, those will be the Brussels sprouts. I'm working on it. Looks like at least another month. I know Brussels sprouts do take a longer time to grow versus the broccoli and the cauliflower. If I had planted broccoli and cauliflower, I'd be cutting right now, and they'd be ready to pick. But I didn't. This is Brussels sprouts. They're in the same family, the cole family. Well, there you can see the corn coming up. There's my corn. There's my neighbor's corn. It's already above the fence, and he must have some secret formula for his. And, okay, tell me, what is your secret recipe? What are you doing?
Water and fertilizer.
What kind of fertilizer did you use?
Mainly cow manure.
Cow manure?
And then 10-10-10.
And that's it?
That's it.
And you just pointed them to the sun?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's it. You got any
Pretty
silks?
good.
Yeah, you do. Look at here.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some. Yeah.
Won't be much longer before Blake will be out here harvesting some corn, huh?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, this is my neighbor's corn. You saw mine. We planted them on the same day. So, red ribbon, no, blue ribbon goes to David. But you can see the corn has gone to tassel, and as soon as those tassel gets ripe, the ears are following, and they'll start pollinating the silks on the ear in a couple of weeks. So that'll be the corn getting pollinated. And that's the important thing about planting corn. You don't want to plant a row of corns. You want to plant a block of corn. And with that, because the corn has to be pollinated by another plant. It can't self-pollinate. And with all the corn, particularly with my neighbor's corn already up over the fence, I should have no issue on pollinating the corn when the silks are ready. But now I want to go over back to the potato patch, because the potatoes I planted in early February, they're about ready to start digging. So I'm going to dig up one row today and see what we have. These are going to be the Pontiac Reds. All right, let's give it a shot here. There you go. Look at that. There's one. All right. Let's take this to the bank. Can you see that? Yeah. They're doing pretty good. Well, thanks for watching from the Heavenly Backyard Garden, and the potatoes, they're looking good. This was only a half of a plant. I planted about 10 pounds, so I should harvest a good 80 pounds worth of potatoes in the next several weeks. So keep watching, and for the astronomy friends, unless you need rain, clear skies, everyone.